stripes of mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
Well, it's kind of obvious there, Hanok, that you're not in Moda'in.
No,
Yeah, I got that one right this morning.
yeah, long way from home.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that coat hanger behind you looks like one that I've seen in Winchester, Kentucky.
Sure enough.
It is. All
Totally
right.
true.
Well, have you've totally adjusted now? You had an uneventful flight in, everything was on schedule, no problems at all, and here you are, right?
I've never come that close to missing a flight in
Oh,
my life.
wow. That was the El
Uh,
Al flight in?
yeah, and it was because the airport was such moderately controlled chaos.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if it was a staffing issue or what, but when I finally got up there, this is kind of a bizarre situation. My legal name in the US, legal name is not Hanoch.
Yeah.
So my American passport is in that name. And under that name is what I give my yearly grant to the IRS.
Hmm.
Okay. I am not the first Israeli American to have one name in Israel and one name in America. For some reason, the pathetic excuse at the El Al counter kept insisting that America would not allow me in with a different name
Huh.
because my airline ticket was under the name of Hanoch Young.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got it in Israel. I got it through a travel agent in Israel. Make a long story short, they had to pull me off the line. I then had to go to the cashier and I argued with them. And because, I don't want to make this story, but I kept saying, you guys are confusing a visa.
Yeah.
A visa has to be in the same name or they won't let you in.
Right.
Said, when I get to America, all they want to see at passport control, because I'm a citizen, is my American passport.
Yeah.
They don't want to see my airline ticket. Anyway, so it was crazy. And then, of course, to get to Kennedy, get my bags, take a taxi to LaGuardia, which was an event in and of itself, fly to Chicago Midway, 4 hour delay, layover, fly to Louisville, Kentucky for a almost 2 hour drive to Winchester. Yeah, I was a little spacey, but that's okay. I
Okay.
have an
You're here.
amazing story to start before we get into things. I bumped into an old friend in the Rova Yehudi, the Jewish quarter. This is a friend, Baruch Ben Yosef. He and his brother were the guys leading the Beitar chapter when I got involved in
Oh, yeah.
activism back when I was 18 years old. He was actually the first Orthodox Jew I ever met in my life.
Wow.
Um, he has been involved in JDL and with Rav Kana for many, many years. Make a long story short, he was coming off the Temple Mount as I was preparing to go on. So we spoke briefly. At the early stages of the war, I don't know if people remember hearing this story, but there was a story of an Israeli soldier or groups of soldiers. It was a little confused at first, who stopped to say mincha, the afternoon prayer,
Hmm.
and saw a terrorist coming out of a tunnel. Okay. It was his youngest son,
Oh,
Malkiel Ben Yosef.
wow.
He was one of the handful of religious soldiers in his particular unit. They were going, I believe, heading south from North Gaza. They were just hanging around for, orders to proceed. He asked permission to go and say the afternoon prayer. Well, in Gaza, okay, here in Kentucky, for me to pray, I faced east.
Right.
In Gaza, you face northeast
Mm-hmm.
to the Temple Mount. He turns around. The whole unit is facing one way. He's facing another way. And he sees a terrorist coming out of a tunnel with an RPG.
Wow.
Saves the entire unit. But the story is not just an amazing story. I don't have a huge network of friends in Israel. I don't, again, I've only been an Israeli for less than 15 years. But all of these instances, like when we were talking last week about Udi and his family, it shows how incredibly small and tiny and compact Israel really is.
Yeah.
So here I am in America. Here I am with yet another presentation. Each presentation, particularly of the last four, I would say, are on a whole nother level based on the situation. In a conversation with people here in Kentucky, where I haven't been for a year. A year ago, in my presentation, I covered terms like boycott, divestment, and sanctions, from the river to the sea, intifada, globalize the intifada. And everyone was looking at me a year ago like I had three, excuse me, like I had three heads. They never heard this stuff before. And now you cannot watch the news. You cannot see a post on Instagram that doesn't have this. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And so with this Netanyahu's coming or is scheduled to come to the United States, this is going to be very interesting to see what kind of response or welcome or not welcome he's been going to be given.
I'm sorry you broke up there. I didn't hear who's coming.
Okay, with Netanyahu coming, what is it, next month? Yeah. Already hearing, AOC saying that we should not have a war criminal come and all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be an interesting month, I think, in front of us to see what is going to be unfolding here. You're just here for you've only been in the States for what, 48 hours or less, really right now. Yeah, a little bit less. But what is your feeling already just coming into the States? I mean, just
Okay.
not you haven't talked to a lot of people yet, and you haven't been teaching yet or any of those things, but what does it feel like to just be here?
There was a lot of apprehension when I got to LaGuardia Airport. I'm constantly scanning around. I'm looking for symbols that people wear. Felt the same way in Chicago Midway Airport. When I got to Louisville, the airport was pretty much, closing. So there was no one to notice. I've got a lot of, trying to think of the right word in English, apprehension.
Yeah.
When I get to New York in August, this is a very odd trip for me that I did not start out in New York, get to stay for a while, probably just as well, because of what's going on in New York. But I actually have been in contact with a lot of people, usually via Facebook Messenger, or now that people can call me easily, and I'm really, really surprised at how many people, good, caring, well-meaning people, are as ill-informed as they are. And it leads me to, I don't know how many times we've told people, begged people practically, read Israeli news sources. People seem blissfully unaware of what's going on, for me back home.
Well, it's interesting because I saw a guy the other day that is normally asked me about Israel and what's going on, and I said, yeah, over the weekend somebody said something, and I said, well, at least we don't have any rockets being fired at us, and they're like, what are you talking about? And I said, Israel took 200 rockets, just yesterday or this weekend, and they're like, wow, I didn't see anything on that. And it's just beyond me how people can be so oblivious to what is going on in the world, really. We've got this.
That's a larger issue, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. It
it's
is.
it's a concern.
You watch the news here, and it is the typical run of everything. Anybody that listens to talk radio, you can turn it on in the morning. You can get the basic headlines, and that's what's going to be talked about all day long.
Yeah.
And people will I know people that spend their whole day listening to talk radio, watching the news, and that's their total focus. And it's like, come here, sheep. I'm going to take you through this gate right here. Bah, bah. Yeah, okay, I got it. And so they're going right through this gate, not knowing what is going on around them. And that to me, Hanok, is a scary thing. I mean, this really is doesn't really have as much to do with, what we're talking about of Israel and all. It's just when people are that oblivious to what is going on in the world overall.
Yeah.
That's speaking very loudly of what's going on in our society.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to you're going to be on the road a lot. I looked at your schedule yesterday. You're going to be all over the place. And of course, when you get here, I have you working overtime. I'm still working a little bit more, but it's going to be interesting when you get here to just get the overall of what you've been experiencing. I'm looking forward to that part.
Yeah, I've never had this. I've never done this many speaking engagements. 17. The most I went back and checked over all the years, 11 years since I've been traveling to America to speak. I mean, the most I ever had was 12. And we're spaced out. So, here it is. Tomorrow night I speak here in Kentucky. I speak again Friday night. And the thing that's so funny is the timing is so different in America. So we're able to have the meeting on Friday, serving dinner, doing my presentation. And when everyone leaves, it's Shabbat's just starting for me.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's, that in and of itself is strange. Then I travel on Sunday to Ohio and I speak Sunday in one location, Monday in another location, Tuesday in another location. It's a hectic schedule. And I'm trying to reach hearts and minds. And I'm concerned. I'll be honest with you, I'm concerned.
Yeah, I am too. I'm probably more concerned now than I've ever been of the again, the lack of involvement overall. I mean, I'm really blessed. I get to hang out with a lot of people that are so focused on Israel and what is going on. And, I don't need to keep people updated because they're doing it themselves. Their love for the land, the people, prayers for the land, for the IDF, everything. I'm just blessed to hang out with that kind of crowd, but that's not the norm in our day.
And it's not even the norm for the Israel supporters. That's the thing. That's the part that catches my breath. That's where I'm like, and
so
I don't know what
this?
say.
What about this talk? We mentioned it briefly. There, I just saw the headline on Israel National News. And for those that have emailed lately, I use Israel National News. I use I-24, Times of Israel. You have a number of other sites that you use. Jerusalem Post, something happened there, and they're getting I'm getting a virus thing on their site, so I deleted that one for now. But I saw a news article of there is a move, and you can tell me if this is real small or what, of resettling Jewish communities in Gaza. Do you think this is actually going to happen?
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not even a possibility.
Okay.
No. No, if you just look at the way the entire world reacts to the fact that Israelis were slaughtered, they could care less.
Mm-hmm.
The world is obsessed with the idea that there might be a famine in Gaza. It's not close to being a famine.
Oh, no.
You know, people like saying, oh my God, is Israel going to cut off the electricity? Have you noticed pictures of Gazans? Their phones are fully charged. How is that possible?
Yeah.
How is it that they have no fuel, but they can fire missiles? How is it that they allegedly are running out of food, but no one is starving? I mean, it's just so bizarre.
It is.
Even if Israel wanted to reestablish Jewish communities in Gaza, and there is no political will to do that,
mm-hmm.
the deals that Israel, the government, is trying to make for the day after would preclude allowing Jewish groups to resettle in Gaza. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's something from Fantasy Island.
Yeah, and I agree. That is, right now, because even up in Judea, Samaria, the people that are trying, as Nati Ram has done through the years, to put in settlements, those are getting dozed down still. They're still getting bulldozed. I mean, I was there. I still have it on my computer somewhere. A video that was taken of a small community right outside of Shiloh that was bulldozed, and it was just heartbreaking to watch that. And I was there the next day. We could see what was there. I mean, the tragedy of this bulldozer coming in, the family, because of the road coming in, they knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so they were at least able to get their furniture and put it outside. Yeah. And then these little makeshift FEMA trailer kind of things that they just came in and leveled it, the whole thing. Are they doing that to the Palestinians? They're building mansions in Nablus, Shechem? No, of course not. So well,
but again, remember, in Shechem, in Jenin, that's controlled by the Palestinian Authority.
Yeah.
That Israel ceded that away back in the, that's ancient history.
Yeah.
But, and the Arabs who self-identify as something called Palestinians, they're in their own world. But one thing is consistent: the amount of support that Hamas is getting throughout Arabs in Judea and Samaria, let alone Gaza, is off the charts.
Yeah.
And the only percentage higher than that are those that believe that Hamas committed no atrocities whatsoever.
Yeah. I even saw that that some of the arms, firearms, weapons are getting from Gaza up into Judea, Samaria, into these Palestinian controlled areas. I mean,
not surprising.
Yeah, that's the area that I'm really looking at right now and concerned about. I mean, you and I have numerous friends that are in those areas. What's going on in Gaza, and now we see Hezbollah just continues to ramp it up.
Yeah.
What do you think about the northern border? I mean, is this going to be the next?
Okay, this will be a major war.
Mm-hmm.
The only question is when.
Yeah.
Whether it is imminent meaning days to weeks, or is it something that's going to be put off for a year? That's the only question at this time. And it is going to be a brutal war. There are going to be a horrific amount of civilian casualties in Israel. There'll be infrastructure that will be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're already talking about a war in Gaza that has cost, projected to be $67 billion. So the question is going to be, what will happen to the Israeli economy? And what weighs on me is, again, I deal with people who support Israel. Congregations that don't support Israel don't invite me. Congregations that aren't 100% or at least 99% in support of Israel don't invite me.
Mm-hmm.
And even among these groups, I find people are, let me just use the term unaware,
Mm-hmm.
because any other term is very unkind. But it's like there's a blissful ignorance. I don't even know how to describe it anymore.
You know, in being in Berlin a number of years ago and talking with people that were there during the Shoah, it seemed that there, and the study that I've done, which has been, I wouldn't say extensive, but I probably know more than the average person out there. It seemed that that's the same kind of an attitude that there was in Nazi Germany by the Germans, specifically the German Christians, that it was just kind of this blissful ignorance of we have our little agenda, and the famous, infamous story of the railroad cars that would go by the churches on Sunday mornings, and their response to it was to sing louder until the railroad car had gone by and they could no longer hear the screams of people. That same kind of an attitude is of willingly ignorant and blissfully ignorant is what I see happening, Hunald.
Yeah, but my concern is that this is coming from our greatest supporters, allegedly, in America.
Yeah.
And that's what's unnerving. But again, it's a level of sorting out. For many years, I'd say from back in college, I began encountering people, particularly in a course that I took on the Holocaust. There were always a number of individuals in that class every semester who were not Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
but who were drawn to the class. And from that moment on, so this has been decades, I've encountered people who've told me if they had been alive at the time of the Shoah, if they had been in Germany, what they would have done to save Jews. And I got to tell you, this is really not going to make people happy. Stop thinking of what you would have done in 1934.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 2024, the same thing is happening. And what you're doing now or not doing is what you would have done then.
Mm-hmm.
It is astounding, but it is far more dangerous to be a Jew now outside of Israel than to be in Israel, without a doubt.
Yeah. I was trying to find, I thought I had written down the numbers that Josh Waller had from the Israel Summit of the number of Christians that actually did get involved during the time of the Shoah. And the percentage was so low that it was almost, you couldn't even put it out. There was just almost zero. But, we hear about the Corrie ten Booms, the Oscar Schindlers, the Wallenbergs, and all of these people would go to Yad Vashem and the walk of remembrance of the righteous Gentiles. That to me is, I mean, we've been there together. We haven't been going to to Yad Vashem in recent tours, but to me, that is that is what draws me to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial. It's not a museum, folks. It's a memorial. That walk of the righteous Gentiles, that those people that put their lives on the line, that's where I go and am drawn to. People that did something, not just talked about doing something, they did something.
Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. I always get very excited, excuse me, every time I put a presentation together. And it's like when we used to do reports in school, you think you've written an amazing, midterm project or whatever it is. And the more you think about it, and the more you reread what you wrote, you think like, wow, this doesn't seem good. What I put together is powerful, important, informative, hopefully inspirational. But in my heart of hearts, I know that no matter what I do, there are people that are going to come, they're going to hear, they may even nod up and down and still do nothing. And that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me up at night.
That's a common thing that both of us have. And somehow it's easier said than done. I know that people can email you, can email me or message or whatever and say, focus on the people that are doing something. That's easy. It's easy to say, but as you walk into a place, you want everybody to get it because you want them to experience this whatever this is that we have. And it's grievous to walk out, but at the same time, trying to figure out how to embrace the people and help the people that want to be a part.
Yeah.
And just kind of say, okay, well, if you make that decision, that's your decision. It's easier said than done.
It's become so crystal clear in the world of where to stand. Mm-hmm. Never before has it been such a polar opposite. And it is astounding that we had genocide committed against us, but we're the ones accused of genocide.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about Israeli babies. And again, I have to be cognizant always of the fact that people listening to this are not all adults. So I'm trying to choose my words very carefully. What has happened to our children and women?
Yeah.
No one cares. And when I say no one, I guess it was maybe 2 months ago, I mentioned about running into someone in Israel who tried to assure me that there was an army behind us, meaning, an army of supporters. And this person was talking about in America. And someone wrote me, they misunderstood my relating that and said there are certainly an army of people praying. This person didn't say praying. They're an army of people that support Israel. And I have to tell you very clearly, I don't see it. I don't feel it. I don't hear about it. Congregations that I have been in touch with, they don't feel it.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick example, something I'm going to mention in the presentation. There have been more than 100 major colleges and universities across America that have barred Jews from coming, that have called for the genocide of Jews, that have destroyed campus property, all these things. Except for a handful, they're all funded by the state governments that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
If someone can spend 20 to 30 minutes a week sending an email to their governor, to their senators, to their congressional representative, to the board of regents or the governor or the chairperson of that university, please don't waste your time telling me how much you care.
Well, you know, there is a silver lining, I guess, here, Hanok. There may not be a, you know, this army. Yeah. I would say maybe it's a Gideon army. Okay. Very small, but very powerful. Those that I know that are standing with Israel do a lot. But you also have kind of you're holding the trump card here, and I'm not talking about religious, or I'm not talking about political here, but it's called Hashem himself. I saw a video. I don't know if you got to see it or not. You probably already have because you live on Facebook. A video of a guy, a bunch of pro-Hamas supporters, and they're burning this huge Israeli flag. It's laying there on the ground. They light the thing on fire, and the guy starts waving it around, and this gust of wind comes up and is right in his face and pretty much lights the guy up. I mean, this flag on fire is all over him as he's trying to run away from the flames. And it just once again proves that Hashem is very deeply involved in this. And whatever he desires to be involved in, we should too.
Well, you see, that's the thing, you know, again, I'm really comfortable saying this in Kentucky, because that's the way people speak here. Is you is or is you ain't, my constituency.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, have a great trip. I'll be talking to you along the way, I guess, of course. And I would ask for people to be praying along the way for Hanok. If you would like to go to Kol Yehuda and give help in the travel expenses, as you know, going to a restaurant these days, as everybody out there knows, going to a restaurant, going to a hotel, planes, everything else is gone up quite a bit. And this would be a great time to show some support.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks so much.
All right.
Take care, man.
Yep.
Talk
See you soon.
Bye-bye.